All right, thank you, everybody. My name is Brian Seward. I'm the president of TAG. Thrilled to have all of you here today as part of the 12-part series, Micro Learning on Selling Technology Solutions Successfully. So those of you, love to see a show of hands. How many of you have gone through, again, if you're not on your camera, get on your camera. I know Vince has a camera. I've seen him on his camera before. I want to see the Joe Montana picture in the back, or jersey in the background, Vince. Those of you that have, how many of you have participated in the first 3 sessions or have seen them all either recorded or participated live? We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Can't see everybody's hands. We got a few there. Okay, so we have a few. Fantastic. Great. Let's see here. We got a chat going on here. Perfect, Wade. Awesome. So we have a few that have participated in all 4 or all 3 of them. That's great. Again, this is your opportunity to set aside 45 minutes a week to focus in on obviously enhancing what you do, taking some things that we developed here at TAG to help you improve, help you become better, grow as a salesperson, and again, get what you want to accomplish in life and in sales and growing your business, right? That, just a real quick review. If you haven't seen the first 3, we strongly recommend it. Obviously, understand the sales transaction, position yourself to win the deal. That's all about the U side of the transaction that we talked about, the 80-20 rule, the attributes of successful people. Number 2 there, develop and execute your sales plan. That is all based on, as salespeople, we need to have a plan. We need to execute upon it. Just like a business has a plan, a salesperson has a plan. So that was the objective there. Last week, we talked about selling to all different personality types by leveraging the DISC. The DISC is a phenomenal tool. It allows us to identify people's personality types and understand how to communicate to them effectively. We all know you can be a good salesperson and sell to your same personality type, and you can make an okay living. You can be a great salesperson, make a great living, and you can sell to all, if you can sell to all personality types. Spend the time understanding it, looking for how to understand another person's DISC sooner rather than later. And then it's all about modifying your communication style to meet their needs, right? So that's all about the DISC. And then today we're going to start getting into prospecting. We're going to go through above the line prospecting. I'm going to share what that is. Those of you that have been tagged in TAG for some time, we have a couple of new twists in there, and it's a great refresher. Those of you that have not, it's great methodologies to help, again, build your plan and start developing and enhancing your appointments. From there, next week, we're going to get into below the line prospecting. We're going to define what below the line and above the line mean momentarily. October 20th, we're going to get into objection handling in a non-manipulative manner, and also the ability to not only understand objections, how to anticipate objections, but also give the customer information so it limits the objections because you've already answered their objections in the sales process and in the appointment. With that, from there, we're going to go into TAG's multi-step sales process, and it's designed for selling everything that we talk about, and it's designed to differentiate yourself as a salesperson and to help you close the transaction and essentially develop a long-lasting relationship with someone, because it takes a series of steps to have someone like you, trust you, and respect you, and that's what we're doing in the sales process. So the sales process is designed to get an 85% close. It starts off with phase 1, which is pre-sales planning phase. Phase 2, first meeting phase. And then we get into the sales process, phase 3, performing a successful assessment in November. Phase 4, essentially making your recommendations and finalizing your proposal before you present it. And then from there, we're going to split into 2 because obviously we want to present, there's going to be one that's focused on November 17th, closing your on-prem IT and or your Azure transaction. Obviously with COVID, cloud IT has been accelerated. Managed IT has been closing. The window of managed IT has been closing. And because of COVID, guess what has happened? It has accelerated even more so for Azure. And you're going to put more and more of your customers into the cloud as well. Phase 5, closing your telephony or surveillance transaction. And then lastly, we're going to do a Q&A for everybody that's participated, real life transactions. Everyone has the opportunity to share stories. In addition to that, though, as we go through these 12-step process, we're happy to work with any of you individually on real life transactions, implementing the sales process, implementing what you're learning, all the steps of the way. Here's what we do at TAG. We're passionate about helping you as an individual become better. We're passionate about helping your companies grow and become more competitive and increase your profitability. But we want to help, we want to coach, we want to mentor. Contact us. We're happy to help as we go through each one of these individual sessions to work with you on a one-on-one basis. We do this all the time, every week, with salespeople, owners across the country. Okay, so tap into our, everything that we do. Perfect, Robert. I can see you now. Now I remember. There you go. So let's get into above the line prospecting. And again, what's exciting right now is when COVID hit, we were so fortunate to be in the industry we're in. During this time, we've been on obviously constant phone calls every week with our members. As you know, many of you know that my partners and I own another company here in Southern California called iNet. We're in the business every day. There's been a tremendous amount of activity from the beginning of COVID, and it hasn't stopped, whether it be for Azure, whether it be for on-prem IT, whether it be for telephony, whether it be video surveillance, access control, whether it be for copiers, you name it. The activity has been phenomenal. Change creates opportunity. Turmoil creates opportunity. There's a lot of opportunity that's going on right now. It's how do you see it? How do you take advantage of it? And how do you grow? Okay. So with that, we're going to jump into above the line prospecting. As we talked about in the second session on how to build and execute your business plan, salespeople are in business for themselves without the risk. We are the owner of our own business. Every one of you. You're the owner of your own business. You're in business for yourself without the risk, but you're backed by a great company, whether it be Pulse, whether it be Turner Telco, whether it be Tech, whether it be CBE. But if I'm in sales for CBE, I'm the owner of my own business. Since I'm the owner of my own business, I should have a business plan. I should have a sales plan. And part of that plan is how am I going to develop my appointments? How am I going to create the opportunities for myself that I want? So since I'm in business for myself without the risk, I'm my own business owner. That way, when I go out and meet with a customer, it's peer-to-peer. You're not a subordinate salesperson. You're the owner of a business talking to another owner of a business. Your mindset has totally changed. Because of that, we need to have a life business plan as salespeople. We need to figure out what do we want to accomplish and then how we're going to accomplish it. What do we want from a monetary perspective? How much income we want? What types of material things that we want in our life? And what are our passions? What do we like to do? What are we passionate about? Well, in order to accomplish all these things in life, we need to have monetary goals. And in order to accomplish those monetary goals, we need to sell. As a salesperson, you get to determine how many appointments you're going to go on. You get to determine how many times you're going to pick up a phone, how many times you're going to knock on a door, how many times you're going to try and develop a relationship with someone and refer opportunities back and forth. That's your opportunity. And you get to define how much money you're going to make in life. If you have a plan and you have a plan that's written down and broken down, you're going to be much more successful. So that's the whole point of this. And that's what we're going to get into above the line prospecting, because that's part of our plan to be successful. Okay. In terms of, we're going to talk about the differences between above the line and below the line. Above the line prospecting is where I'm referred into an account. I'm leveraging a trusted relationship. If I'm leveraging a trusted relationship, I have an opportunity to get an 80 to 85% close. Below the line prospecting, I don't have that trusted relationship. It's a cold phone call. I meet somebody off the street. I do a door knock, whatever the case might be. I'm at a networking event when the world comes back together again. There'll be networking events and things like that. That's below the line. But today we're going to focus on above the line and how to drive opportunities, right? How to drive opportunities where we can get an 80 to 85% close ratio. Well, because above the line, we're leveraging relationships. What we're doing with above the line is we're going to create a component of our plan. And that plan is going to create appointments. Those appointments are going to determine how much sales we're going to close, and then how many sales we're going to bring to our organizations, and how much money we're going to make in our life. That's the plan. Because as we go through today, since we're in business for ourselves without the risk, we're essentially creating our own sales team. So with that being said, let's get into it. And as I mentioned, it's all about relationships. It's all about leveraging your pre-existing relationships and building new relationships. We're going to start off with 4 different categories that we're going to get into. And one of them is a little bit different twist to what we've added here and above the line, and that's targeting your existing customers. We have a tendency in some cases to ignore our base. We have a tendency to not go after our base. All of us on this call today, whether it's Jake, whether it's Wade, whether it's Scott, whether it's Kevin, you have great relationships with customers. You have relationships with people that are your customers that you can call up any day of the week and get 15 minutes of their time just to stop by and see how they're doing. Well, when you stop by and see how they're doing, you're turning that appointment into an opportunity. What we want to do is we want to set, those are our lowest hanging fruit. And we want to make sure that we don't ignore our customers, because essentially we're sitting on a pot of gold that we can leverage those relationships and start targeting those relationships. Now, we've been very surprised with COVID that we're able to get into a lot of companies. A lot of organizations are seeing us on site, whether it's here in Southern California or around the country. Now, obviously, we need to be respectful for what we're doing in terms of, because we kind of don't know where people lie on this whole spectrum of, are they taking COVID seriously? Are they not taking it seriously? And how they want to meet with you. In some cases, we may have to do certain things on Zoom. In a lot of cases, we're still able to go on site. The first point in above the line is pick out 10 customers. Identify 10 customers that you have fantastic relationships with. And that way we have the ability to set up an appointment. I want you to think about a customer in your mind that you could pick up the phone now, give them a call, see how they're doing, and say, hey, I just want to come by just to chat, see how business is going. Are you available at 10:30 on Thursday or 1:30 on Friday? What day works better for you? Let me ask Kevin. Kevin, can you picture someone right now? What's the name of that company?
Yes, I can, Brian. Stewart's. I got a couple right now that I'm working with. I went to visit a company last week, big hotel, and then I got a meeting with Stewart's also. So a couple of our big
those are existing customers.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, perfect. Scott Hobbs, what about yourself? Is there somebody that you can call right now that's a good buddy of yours, that's a customer, that will take your call? Did we lose Scott? Scott, you're on mute. How about CG? What about CG? Give me a name of a company, CG.
Off mute now.
Okay, there you go, Scott. Go for it.
Tenelec comes to mind. It's an electrical contractor owned by a longtime friend.
Okay, an existing customer, right?
Yep.
And how long they've been customers of yours?
20 years.
20 years. There you go. That's a company that will take Scott's call. He's a longtime friend, and it's just a matter of getting in front of them and then identifying what 10 companies do we want to target, let's say with 10 to 50 employees, because they typically don't have internal IT. We don't want to target anybody with internal IT. When we identify those 10, identify who we're going to call, why we're going to call them, and then prior to the call, let's say what we want to do then is we run the dark webs, we run a dark web on them, because guess what? That's the crack in the dike where you turn a conversation of just stopping by into a conversation about IT, into a conversation about their network, into a conversation as to why their existing IT guy is not doing what they should be doing because they got 30 emails and passwords that have been compromised that are sitting out on the dark web. So we have that ability to do that. We all, regardless if we're a salesperson, an owner, whatever on this call today, you have great relationships of organizations that you can call, that you can go after. This is one of the areas that we want to utilize and leverage. Now, we have a whole program on scripting. We don't have time to get into it today, but we have a video on scripting. If any of you need assistance on scripting, call us. We will work with you to work on your script. But their lowest hanging fruit are those companies that you can schedule an appointment like that before you even need to start using the dark web or anything else to try and set an appointment. All right. So that's your first one. Action item number 1 after today's call is identify and write down 10 companies of 10 customers in the range of, let's say, 10 to 50 employees that you want to target and you want to set an appointment up with next week. Just like anything else, we want to build a plan and we want to identify. If you write those 10 down, you have a higher probability of approaching those 10. Then if you want to go down the path of selling IT to those 10, run the dark web monitoring. If you want us to work with you and help you go through the sales process, let us know. And again, you need to, as salespeople, we hold ourselves accountable for our own personal success. That means writing down the 10. If you want to share those 10 with me, send them to me because you got a higher probability of making the commitment and going after them. Group number one, don't ignore your base. Target your base and go after the base, because leverage and utilize those great relationships that you've built for whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 3 years, 15 years, whatever it is, but identify it and put a strategy in place to target that base because you got that relationship. They're going to let you talk about whatever you want to talk about and you guide the conversation to where you want it to go. That's number one, okay, in terms of our above the line prospecting, leverage your base. Number two is going to be our elite group. Number one, we're leveraging our relationships with our existing base. Number two, we're continuing to leverage our relationships. So essentially, again, we're building a plan as to how to create our appointments to target, and the number of appointments, as we all know, will dictate the number of sales we're going to get and everything that comes back to our life. If we look at this then in terms of our elite group, historically in our industry as technology providers, we share the best possible appointment that one can make with a few other industries. But in our industry, typically, what's the best possible appointment one can make in our industry? Paul, why don't you throw something out there? What's the best possible appointment one can make?
Not sure what you mean.
So that's okay. So Paul's been very successful owning multiple businesses. That has been a customer of ours at TAG many years. So Paul, where I'm going with this is, what's the best possible appointment one can make? Is it a referral? Is it a cold call? What is it?
Well, it's a referral.
Yeah, obviously it's a referral, right?
Yeah.
So number one, it's a referral for an account that's doing what?
Sorry?
For an account that's either moving or expanding, right?
Okay.
Typically an account that's either, sorry about that,
Yeah.
either an account that's either moving or expanding. And guess what? Because of COVID, it doesn't matter if you're selling copiers, if you're selling IT, if you're selling telephony, if you're selling surveillance. We're going to talk about how each one of these industries are going to help and expand and grow your business. But historically, it's an account. We got referred into a trusted relationship. We're leveraging a trusted relationship for an account that's moving or expanding. And what's happening because of COVID? The world has changed forever in terms of the office environment and what that looks like. And I want to expand on that momentarily. But we've got a referral into an account that's moving or expanding because we have a pending event. Because of COVID, organizations are going to downsize. We have some organizations that have grown during COVID because their industries have been in great demand for various reasons. Okay, we have others that are taking advantage of remote workforce. Okay, so we have a referral for an account that's moving because there's a pending event. They have to make a decision on their technology. If that's the case, what other industries is that the ideal appointment for? Anybody want to throw something out there? CG, you've been in TAG for a long time. Give me one. I kind of alluded to it.
Hold on. Sorry, I was on another call there for a second, so I got kind of distracted. I apologize for that. So
No problem.
elite groups, I mean, yeah, I've been to sales training a number of times. So elite groups, we've talked about that in the past. Could be, someone in a commercial real estate environment.
Yeah, we'll stop. We'll stop right there just for a second. So one is commercial real estate. It doesn't matter, because here's the deal. We want to work with organizations that are going to share opportunities with each other. Commercial real estate is number one right now. The reason for that is prior to COVID in this country, only 4% of the US workforce was permanently remote. As of today, projections, minimum 30% will stay at home forever. What does that mean to office space in this country? It's going to come down. Commercial office space companies are going to look to downsize because they're not bringing employees back. They've realized they can keep employees home, and some of them are going to be even in a form of hybrid. They'll have individuals come in 2 or 3 days a week. Okay, so it's an opportunity because guess what? Commercial real estate companies are going to know on the front end when companies are moving or expanding. So what we want to do is we want to develop a relationship with someone in commercial real estate. In addition to that, tenant improvement. When, for example, we moved our offices at TAG over a year ago. If we got hit with COVID a couple years ago, guess what? We downsized about 3% a year ago. I would have downsized our office at least 60%, if not more. You're going to see companies downsizing their office space. And what does that mean? An opportunity for everybody on this call. This is your number one person that you need to create a relationship with, because COVID has changed the office forever. Because companies are going to keep employees home. They're going to reap the benefits of keeping their employees home, and they're not going to need the office space now that they can leverage and spend that money on technology, making their employees having the right technology to be successful. And the other one is office furniture. So each one of these industries share the best possible appointment that we share for an account that's moving, because that's the best time to take a look at technology. And each one of these organizations are on the front end of that decision. I'm getting a little background. If somebody that's not muted, if you can mute your phone for me. Obviously, we've all done a lot of reading of what's going on in this world with COVID. Last week, I was on a trip. I saw this article in the Wall Street Journal. The lease is up, office space decisioning during a pandemic. There is one certainty in all this COVID-19 ambiguity. That's the date of lease expiration. Most businesses are eyeing that date. That's why there's huge opportunity to partner up with someone in commercial real estate. And you want to do it with someone that represents tenants, not landlords, represents tenants. That's who you want to partner up with. That's part of your above the line prospecting is commercial real estate, office furniture, and tenant improvement. Does anybody work with someone in commercial real estate right now? Kevin, perfect. How long have you had that relationship?
Yeah, so actually, Brian, interesting fact that I just talked to CG about this today. It just started today, and it was brought in by one of our sales reps, and he said the exact same thing you're saying, is that there's a lot of movement, there's a lot of restructuring. So I just had the call today at 11:30, and it looks like it's going to be very profitable. And he's jonesing to get a telecommunications company, because he said, we just don't do that. We need to recommend people. Things are moving around so fast. So I think it's timely.
Yep, perfect. Yep, absolutely. So now you start the process. And if those of you, so far we only have one. Anybody else on this call?
I did have one, but he's retiring, so I got to find a new one.
We got to find a new one for Mike and Courtney. How about that? That's
Exactly.
That's our goal. There you go. We got to find a new one that's their age, Scott.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, so what we do then is we go through an interview process, regardless if it's anyone in each one of these three areas, because we want to make sure we're working with the right company. We start off with the 80-20 rule. Are they the right individual? Number one. Number two, do they share our business philosophy? What's the culture of their company? What's their value proposition? We have to understand their business, because here's what we're doing today. We are creating our sales team. If I'm a salesperson for Pulse, working with Vince, if I'm a salesperson at CBE, working with John Ekstrom, I am in business for myself without the risk. Everything that we're talking about today, these three individuals are my sales team. That's how I extend my reach in my community to create more opportunities for myself. So I want to make sure that we're working with the right individual. We need to learn about their business. We want them to learn about our business. The 20s of the world get it. The 80s don't. As soon as you identify an 80, get rid of them and continue to focus on and find the 20 of that agent that's in commercial real estate that's representing tenants. In addition to that, we got to visit their facilities. And again, I've kind of alluded to it earlier, as things reopen, even in here in Southern California, we are so locked down, it's unreal in most places in the state of California. But we're still finding that companies are open for us to on site and visit with them. that's the case, obviously we want to see, is the place clean, dirty? What does it look like? Am I going to be willing to give my most important asset, my customer, to any one of these individuals? All right, that's the objective. So we want to understand how to, or understand their value proposition. That way we can open the door for them effectively. They can open the door for us effectively. So it's a learning process, just like anything else in life. In addition to that, we have what's called a TAGS Elite Group Handbook. It is located on the TAG website. If you want it, I can get it to you faster if you just email me letting me know, Brian at TAG National, that you want the Elite Group Handbook. It details even more so what we're talking about here today and how to be successful in identifying individuals within these three industries. And eventually what we want to do is put a group together where we get together at least once every 3 weeks and we explore how can we best work together, how can we best identify opportunities together, and can we expand our reach into our marketplace to grow our businesses together. So that's our elite group. The other thing that we have, this is also video recorded under the video section on the TAG website. We put together a PowerPoint called Understanding the Benefits, Challenges, and the ROI of Remote Workforce. This gets into what types of technology does a remote workforce need, what types of, how to manage a remote workforce. Because here's the reality. Most remote workers, it's not working because they don't have the right things and they're not being managed effectively. If you see at the bottom right there, that's Lee and Associates. Lee and Associates is a well-known commercial estate company here in Southern California representing tenants. We gave this PowerPoint to Lee so they can present this PowerPoint to their customers. That's the primary organization that we work with at the other company that we own, iNet, so we can develop, obviously, take advantage of opportunities that we can drive back and forth with one another. Let me know. We have this PowerPoint available for you. So if you develop a relationship with someone in commercial real estate, you can leverage and utilize the same tools that we have. So we have a lot for you at TAG to help you become successful in establishing these groups. Now, action item number 1, I suggested that you take a look at and write 10 by the end of this week. Write 10 companies down that you're going to contact next week that you got great relationships with, that you're going to make phone calls to set appointments. That's action item number 1. If you like, please share the list with me. I'd love to see it. Number 2, action item. If you don't have anyone in commercial real estate, we just started the month of October, make a plan to identify, meet with, get to know, and evaluate, and potentially put a relationship together with someone in commercial real estate. That's action item number 2. Hold yourself accountable to make a relationship in that arena. It doesn't matter what you're selling. You need to have someone in commercial real estate. All right. If you already do, expand your horizons and identify somebody, whether it be in tenant improvement or in office furniture, and then continue to go from there. But again, I can't stress it enough because of COVID, what's COVID's doing to the commercial real estate industry right now. If you look at Manhattan alone, think about Manhattan for a second. Only 1 in 10 office workers have returned to Manhattan. 1 in 10. Those are staggering numbers. So if you think about trickling that down to the small business environment, small businesses are going to look at their space and bring those spaces down, creating great opportunity for all of us. Okay, that's number 2. Number 3, bird dogs. Okay, do we have any hunters here? Anybody hunter? I need on the first call this. Do we have any hunters on the call today? We got people in South Carolina. Any of our South Carolina members hunters? No, no hunters. Okay, so bird dogs. What a real life bird dog do? A real life bird dog goes out with the hunter, and the bird dog flushes birds so the hunter can kill the bird. That's what a bird dog does. Bird dogs are other salespeople in our community that target the same decision makers that we do. They target the same CEOs, presidents, and CFOs that we go after as well. So when we establish relationships with bird dogs, we have a bird dog that's out and about going, ooh, there's an opportunity for CG. There's an opportunity for Scott. There's an opportunity for Courtney. They're going around in the community and flushing opportunities out for us, just like what we're doing for them. That's a bird dog. Essentially, we're leveraging our above the line relationships with rifling in with our elite group and now with our bird dogs. Who are some potential bird dogs? I'll give a couple away. First one of our best bird dogs are CPAs. CPAs are one of our best bird dogs that we've had, particularly in our other business at INET. What we want to do is start developing relationships with individuals that, whether it's a CPA, whether it's a banker, insurance broker, payroll company. Now, payroll companies need to watch some cases because they might do managed IT. Printers, excellent bird dogs, because printers essentially they know when companies moving, expanding, doing different things in terms of because they have to create new collateral for them, new business cards, all those types of things. So they know a lot of information. Website design companies, if you're not doing security and surveillance organizations, and those of you that have been in this industry for a long time, in some cases certain carriers, Jeff Allen, owner of CTI in Michigan, had 3 deals brought to him by a bird dog that's in carrier services up in Michigan. Obviously, he generated some great opportunities from that bird dog, a relationship he's had for many years. Within the last couple of months, 3 deals, closed all 3 deals, because again, we have a relationship that we're leveraging. Does anybody currently have any bird dogs right now that represent any of these industries? Are you working with anybody in any of these industries? Anybody? Let's see. I can't see anybody's hands. If anybody wants to yell, please yell. Kevin or CG, you've been in the business
Hey,
a long
Brian,
Yeah.
we have a lot of banks over here in Chicago, so we've used them in the past to leverage for local banks, nothing national, obviously, but for
Yep.
guys out of Chicago, they've been pretty good for us.
Perfect. Banks, absolutely. And what you want to do is start with, if you don't have a bird dog in any one of these areas, look at your existing base. Do you have a CPA that's a customer? Yes. Well, there you go. Take a look at those CPAs that are your customers and pick the right one that, just like we talked about earlier, that match up with our business philosophy, that they're a good organization, they're a reputable organization, that we can share, that we can get together and start building our businesses together. Do we have any customers that are printers or anything else? Start with your existing base and look at those customers first and start building those relationships. So again, you want to break everything down. What I mean by that is, let's take a look at, we're in October. None of you so far, except for one, if I remember correctly, has somebody in commercial real estate. Make it a goal. By end of October, you've got a relationship and you're starting to meet with them once every couple of weeks to build your business together. Then you expand from there. Okay, we're not talking about getting all 3 from your elite group immediately in the month of October. Identify 1 or 2 that you want to target. That's action item number 2, is identifying who you want to target and who you want to go after. And by all means, if you want to send me an email so I know who you're going after, love to see it. So what do bird dogs do? Well, guess what? They open the door for somebody. Say that Kevin is the owner of a business. CG is a printer. He is my bird dog. Well, guess what? CG is going to talk to Kevin and say, hey, Kevin, you need to speak to Brian over at Northeast. They do a great job of providing companies with their IT, with their telephony needs, all that kind of good stuff. They're a great, great, great technology company. Whether you go with Northeast or not, you're going to learn something about technology that's going to help your business. You got to do yourself justice and talk to Brian. You mind if I have Brian give you a call? So that's an opportunity. Kevin is expecting a call because CG opened the door for me. So they make us aware of an opportunity. They facilitate the introduction. But then most importantly, we help each other close the deal, because we're going to be going after their existing customers, just like we're going to be introducing our bird dogs and our elite group to our existing customers. So I go ahead and meet with Kevin, the business owner, and talk about what his needs are for maybe IT, cybersecurity, or telephone systems, or whatever. And I leave that appointment. What's the next thing that CG should do? CG is my bird dog. What should CG do? Anybody?
Probably reach out to that prospect.
Yeah, there you go. CG calls Kevin. Hey, what'd you think of Brian? What do you think of how the appointment go?
Mhm.
Is there anything you need? Because guess what? CG has a relationship with Kevin. CG can follow up with Kevin, and then that way CG can provide me with some information, will help me be successful in working with Kevin and earning Kevin's business. We're working as a team together to earn the business of who we've referred each other in. So we want to develop those types of relationships and strategize, because if we strategize and help each other close transactions, that's how we're going to be successful. Why should someone be a bird dog? Well, guess what? We're going to bring each other opportunities. That's the whole point. We're going to bring each other opportunities. And then in addition to that, with our bird dogs, we're also going to pay our bird dogs a commission. Now, as a salesperson in building my business, I'm in business for myself without the risk. Kevin, you're a salesperson. Would you give up a piece of your commission for an 85% close?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely, all day long. Any salesperson in the right mind would give up a piece of their commission for an 85% close. Because when we give up a piece of our commission, we pay our bird dog. Guess what? That's reinforcement. It becomes a car payment. It becomes child daycare. It becomes a night out with the wife. It becomes a weekend vacation, whatever, depending upon how big the commission is. But that way it reinforces the habit, because in some cases, it might not be that easy for us to find opportunities, but guess what? That becomes a habit to find an opportunity and then get paid. Now, can everybody based on their company get a commission? No, but many will. Today, on the call with Jeff Allen that I mentioned earlier, 3 deals, he paid the guy 3 different commissions on those transactions. How do you know if you have a good bird dog program in your company? Well, how many checks did I write this year to bird dogs? Did anybody write a check this year to a bird dog on this call? Okay. Well, that tells me we got to get better at creating these programs, because the more checks I write, the more business that our salespeople are producing, the more business we're going to have in our companies. We need to create those opportunities. With that being said, how do we prospect for bird dogs? Well, a multitude of ways. We already talked about one. Go into your base and see which customers you have that you already have relationships with that are in these industries. Number 2, if you have a customer, let's say, that does a lot of printing, they got a tremendous amount of collateral, they print brochures, they do all kinds of stuff. Next time you talk to that customer, hey, Mr. Customer, I see you do a lot of printing, you do a lot of brochures, all that kind of good stuff. Hey, what do do you like your printer? Yeah, absolutely. Greatest company we've dealt with. Oh, fantastic. Well, guess what? A lot of our customers have the same need. Hey, do you mind introducing me to that printer? Now I just found a printer. We're all involved in chambers. We're all involved in business organizations. At some point, a lot of that stuff's virtually now. At some point, we'll be getting back in front of people. It's all about asking, okay? With that being said, there's opportunities. And so you just want to break it down. And what I mean by that is, month of October, let's identify one individual and see who we want to add. In November, maybe we look to add 2 more individuals to the group of what we want to do in terms of whether it's 1 elite group, 2 bird dogs, whatever the case is. But you just want to break it down. It's quality, not quantity. And don't try and kill yourself that I got to have all these bird dogs or whatever all at once. It takes time to build a relationship. It takes time to work with someone. The most important thing is you've got it up and going. You've got a couple of relationships going. You're referring business with each other, and you're trying to work with one another. And it's okay over time if I'm dealing with a bird dog that I picked up and I haven't written a check to lately. It's okay to say, hey, Scott, you're one of the few bird dogs that I haven't written a check to lately. How come? Well, guess what? Scott may have forgot. Maybe he's got other things going on in his life. But what we're doing there is, hey, we need to work with each other because it does work. And again, we want to make sure we're picking up the right people that are 20s, that have the attributes of successful people that we talked about on session 1 of this series. In addition to that, we want to make sure that we're in constant communication with our bird dog. How many of you, raise your hand if you have an email marketing program that goes out to your customers or prospects? Anybody? Anybody sends out, your company sends out? Okay, perfect. We got Matt that raised his hand. We got maybe a couple other people that raised their hand. Guess what? Are any of your salespeople's bird dogs or anybody else you do business with in that group? If they're not, they better be. Why? Well, let's just say at CBE, we want to make sure that all of our salesperson's bird dogs, whoever they touch in life and share leads with each other in life, is receiving our campaigns. It's that constant reminder that I'm a bird dog for Matt at CBE. It's good to and have your referral groups understand what's going on in your company, just like we need to know what's going on in their company. We got to call them frequently. We got to meet with them about once every 3 weeks. And when you find the right people is when you start putting a group together and you start meeting on a regular basis. Okay, some of you say, oh, I'm in BNI. Well, BNI, there's a lot of crap in BNI because you got like chiropractors and all kinds of bunch of other junk in there. Well, what you do with BNI, anybody in BNI? Okay, nobody? Okay, we got one. So what you do in BNI, is that Tom? Tom, perfect. What you do in BNI, I'm not saying BNI is bad, but what you do is you look and find the 20s and the movers and shakers and pull them away and say, you know what? I got a better way of doing it. Let's go get coffee. This is the better way. I'm not saying you leave BNI forever, but guess what? If you can zero in, identify relationships, work with a small number of people, you got more bang for your buck. With that being said, we also have a bird dog handbook that we have available to you. So that's on the website. If you want us to email it to you, just send me an email. We'll get that out to you. It goes even more so. And both the bird dog handbook and the elite group handbook can be brandable. So over the years, we've had members that have branded those with their logos. And also, we at TAG will present to your bird dogs when you start putting your group together, your elite group. And it kind of gets everybody motivated and gets everybody going. Vic Levinson at Prime in Chicago, at Prime, I presented to his bird dog group. He was on one of our earlier calls today a few years ago, and it was very beneficial because it gets everybody on the same page. We're happy to do that as well. You need that. That's a great example of another one of our members in the Chicago area that has taken advantage of that. Customer referrals. Is the fourth group. We're rifling into our relationships. We got our elite group, we got our bird dogs, and we got customers, and we should be getting referrals. All of us have been in business for a long time. Our companies have been in business for a long time. Our customers absolutely love us, and they should be referring business to us. Some of it do it proactively, others we ask for it. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're asking for the referral as well. We want to learn our customers' passions. How do we go about doing that? Well, we call our customers on a Monday and a Friday. So anyone know why we call customers on a Monday or a Friday? What do we get to talk about, Matt? Why do we call customers on a Monday or a Friday?
See what they're doing or how their weekend went, and it opens up
There you
small
go.
talk. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Perfect. Because we want to know what they're doing over the weekend, how they spend their time. And it brings our relationship down with a personal level. If I know that Scott Hobbs, the owner of a business in Gaithersburg, Maryland, that loves to play golf, guess who Scott Hobbs plays golf with? Other business owners. And oh, by the way, then I get to ask Scott, hey, Scott, were you playing golf this weekend? Oh, fantastic. That's a great course. Hey, you know those guys that you like to play golf with? You know, do you think they could use some of the services that we provide your company? Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to introduce you to them. Perfect. Or guess what? You keep talking to Scott, there's a possibility Scott's going to invite you to play golf. And guess what? You're going to be amongst those that are business owners. We need to be specific in our referral. No different than when we go to an office property, we're talking to our customer that absolutely loves us, and they got a couple of neighbors. Guess what? Business owners know each other's neighbors. We're specific in what they think. Because if you just ask, hey, you know what? Yeah, you know anybody that could utilize our services that you know? Well, then they're going to have to think, well, I guess not. But you got to be specific in what you're doing. What we should all include it above the line prospecting is we should be generating opportunities through customer referrals as individual salespeople. But we want to elevate our relationships with those that we serve. And so there's a couple of key questions that we want to ask. For example, because we want to be a resource to our customers and we want them to see us as a resource. So if I'm Matt, if I'm one of Matt's customers, I know Matt is so well connected in our marketplace that if I need anything, I'm gonna call up Matt and say, hey Matt, you know somebody that does this, or you know somebody that does that. That's how you get to be really connected. You know what? And then when we call, it's not just what's going on over the weekend. Hey, what's going on in your business? What opportunities? Are there any challenges you're experiencing right now? How are you dealing with COVID? Have remote workers? What's going on? You know, if we can find out some certain things amongst our customers, we're going to create value for our elite group, for our bird dogs, and for other customers, especially the last one. If we had an answer to this last question, hey, Lori, you know, what's the next purchase you're thinking about making in your business? If I asked 10 customers that question, you think I'd be able to have a bird dog or somebody that I can connect with, or have other customers and put other customers together to solve a need? Then no one's ever going to leave me. But I got to always be asking the right things. And in sales, it's a lot of small things that makes up a lot. We want to elevate ourselves to that kind of trusted advisor status. And trusted advisor is cliche. It's kind of an overused term, but it truly is. It's kind of like, I remember years ago, one of our members said it best, I've got a guy that's got a guy. Because when companies or individuals are coming to you for just about everything because they know you're so connected, that's when you've elevated yourself in this fashion. Okay, we want to be resources for those that we serve. And then that way, if we can solve a need, they're never going to leave us. They're going to refer business to us, and they're going to do more business with us. That being said, as we went through here, and again, as salespeople, we need a plan. As salespeople, business for ourselves without the risk. As salespeople, everything today that we discussed is extension is basically our sales team, extension of who we are, increasing our reach out into our community to drive opportunities, just like we drive opportunities to them. Our goal here is if we develop and grow our sales team, which is our elite group or bird dogs or customers and so on, we're going to drive opportunities and sales for all of us. Again, just summarize, we talked about it. Rifling into your base, action item, pick 10 companies this week. Start making phone calls next week to start seeing them. Action item with elite group, identify, and again, I'll say it over again, commercial real estate representing tenants, get somebody in that arena. Number 3, bird dogs, identify whether it's a CPA, a banker, or anybody else, start seeing if, again, we come to October, we come to November, by the end of those 2 months, can we have at least 2 people or 3 that we're starting to work with on a regular basis? And then customer referrals, same thing. Am I talking to my customers on Mondays and Fridays? Am I building rapport with my customers, enhancing my relationships to drive referral business? With that being said, we want to leverage existing relationships, right, that we all have. Again, this is our opportunity to get better at what we do. Put that plan together, what you want to accomplish in life, and then break down that plan between what we're doing with above the line and what you're going to be doing next week with below the line, because we need that balance. And then we got to pursue ones to drive your sales, right? We need to pursue new relationships all the time. Okay, so as salespeople, we need to be driven. We got to have a fire in our belly to pick up the phone, to get out there, to try and establish a relationship with someone that's in our elite group or anyone else in life. We got to persevere through everything that we want to do, and then we got to be motivated. And again, we talk about surrounding ourselves with 20s, not 80s. Well, even 20s need to be motivated. Got to constantly meet with them. We got to constantly call them. And then that way we're going to reap the rewards of these relationships. And then lastly, I just want to end on one thing, which is successful people in life give more than they take as a principle, not as a tactic. And that's what we're doing. We're looking for opportunities for other people first. Because when we look for opportunities for other people, when we look for opportunities, again, for our elite group or our bird dogs, or if we can find business for our customers, that's going to come back tenfold for us, and we're going to be very successful in what we're doing. Create a plan, create what you want to get accomplished. Again, just break it down to its lowest common denominator in terms of targeting an individual or individual industry by a certain deadline or time frame, and write it down, and you got a high probability of getting what you want accomplished. Again, hold yourself accountable for your own personal success. With that being said, that brings us to the end here. I appreciate everybody's time. Again, we're happy to work with you on a one-on-one basis right now. If there's anything you need, just contact us. We'll help you strategize transactions. Again, take a look at the rest of the 12-part series. We have 8 to go. If you haven't registered for all of them, get registered. If you haven't seen any of the last 3, again, they're up on our website. If there's anything you need, don't hesitate to give us a call. Send us an email. All we want to do is help you become better at what you do and be more successful. So again, thanks for your time, everybody. Greatly appreciate it.